Now we need to know where our money is going. Let's call this process flow, like a tide, ebb and flow. Expenses we incur for the expenses of life and or business, more specifically, debt. And even more specifically, short-term and long-term debt are real. They're very real. Short-term debt is anything we owe that is due within 1 year. For example, rent is debt. Renters sign a commitment to pay the landlord for a specified period of time, right? And within this period of time, let's say it's due every single month, you have to pay it off in exchange for a place that you call quote-unquote home. Long-term debt is owed 1 year or more. For example, that could be, I don't know, like a deferred student loan with payments not starting until a couple of years down the road. So debt is anything we owe on something that doesn't appreciate in value. So mortgage, we wouldn't consider debt because we're building equity into a property, and historically real estate has appreciated over time. So we're going to exclude something like mortgage out of the debt equation. But debt in every sense of the word sucks us dry. We need to chop this down. It's like a weed, or a sequoia tree-sized weed that's growing in this garden that we're trying to fill with roses. If we don't zap it with a weed killer, it's gonna kind of grow and take a life of its own. So it requires our special attention. So let's say you make, I don't know, 50K a year, 50,000 US dollars a year, but you owe 100K in debt, 100,000 US dollars in debt, and you own no other assets. So your income really is your only asset. Your net worth in this scenario is negative $50,000, negative 50K. 50K minus 100K equals negative 50K, right? So if you chopped off your debt and your income stayed the same, your net worth would essentially be flipped upside down into the positive range, and that's where we want to be. In this scenario, we see that debt is a very real expense. It affects things like our net worth. Whether it's sitting on a credit card or on a rental agreement, we still owe it, and it's not making us money. This may take you some time, but how many of us actually do it? That's kind of the point of concern. We're not trying to be like everyone else. Not everyone is trying to make more money. It takes intense focus to chop down expenses like debt, because debt sometimes evokes the emotion of fear. Like when you go to your mailbox, you're like, oh my gosh, am I going to get my credit card bill? I don't have the money for it. So it's confronting this emotion of fear and having the courage to take on the debt. I don't know if that makes sense. In addition, we've been conditioned in this capitalistic consumer society that we can own things now and pay later for the things that we desire. And of course there's this question of, where does that desire come from? You know, why does a company advertise and market to us about something that we want to, for example, aspire to? Is it necessary for us to buy a Bentley in order to get from point A to Z? That's really your choice. However, let's make a rule of thumb. And this rule of thumb that we're going to make is going to be, if we don't have the cash, in other words, if we can't go to an ATM or a teller and pull the cash, literally have greenbacks in our hand from our accounts, we don't spend it. No cash, no spending. Why? It'll force us to earn the cash so we can later have the ability to choose how we want to spend it. It's the switch in power of choice and ultimately control that is key to this concept. Think of yourself like a dam. You have the ability to control the ebb and flow of a moving body of water, just like how cash moves. Comes in, it comes out. The theory behind money and owing money does not have to be like a tsunami. We're going to prepare for tsunami-like events through these easy steps of applied self-control. It's a slight behavior modification if you're not already doing this. Remember, this is a conscious decision you're making that has a solid plan. You can think of this process like this.